going to be showing you how to make customized Aziraphale and Crowley dolls from Good Omens. So for the past 3 months, like most of the internet, I have fallen completely head over heels in love with Good Omens, which, to be completely honest with you, came as an utter delight and surprise, as I was not even aware this universe or book existed until this past June, when all of a sudden my Tumblr feed was filled with absolutely gorgeous fan art of a certain ethereal and occult being. None other than the Ineffable Husbands themselves, Crowley Chaotic Disaster Demon, and Aziraphale is Baby Principality. Now, the whole experience of being in this fandom has been fulfilling and exhilarating in so many ways, from the creators and actors themselves wholly supporting their fan base, to the beautiful soundtrack made by one of my favorite composers, to the incredible fan art and fanfiction being created daily, all the way to the content itself just being so perfectly satisfying in a way that's not only an entertainment masterpiece, but also as something that shares such critical messages and themes through a medium that is both accessible and creatively fulfilling to consume. But don't worry, I'm not about to bore you on my thesis on why Good Omens is the most compelling piece of cinematic art. So to give you a little bit more of an idea of how much of a fallen angel I've been the past 3 months, so far in the Good Omens fandom, I have effectively watched the whole series at least 4 times through, created an Ineffable Husbands playlist on Spotify with over 150 songs, including hits from Queen and ABBA, finally named my 1.5-year-old white butterfly arrowhead plant Aziraphale, and purchased him a companion in the form of a baby dark mystery Panea plant that I so cleverly named Crowley, purchased the illustrated definitive Good Omens edition with the slipcase signed by Paul Kidby, made another frankly alarming financial decision that a broke college student like me definitely has no need in making, and purchased the deluxe limited edition script book signed by Neil Gaiman. Got this nifty snake watch at a thrift store because suddenly I've become entranced by all things snakes. I wonder why. Sat through the entirety of the Twilight series just so that I could see more of Michael Sheen, and started an ongoing quest to watch the entirety of the man's filmography, of which you may see my progress on my Twitter. Bought this gorgeous print of Rococo-styled fan art of Aziraphale and Crowley, done as a parody of one of the great Fragonard's paintings. Impulse bought photo op tickets to meet David Tennant and Catherine Tate at GalaxyCon Raleigh less than 24 hours before said event.
Laura!
Yes.
How are you?
And lastly, perhaps my biggest labor of love stemming from Good Omens, I have made customized Aziraphale and Crowley dolls. These are the first dolls that I have ever customized before, and I'm so pleased with how they came together. They just give me so much joy to look at every single day, and I hope that if I may share them with you, they may have the same miraculous effect. So please join me as I take you through all of these steps: repainting, rerooting, wings preening, tiny clothes sewing, and all of the other little details in between. Good heavens, I'll be damned if I let this intro get any longer. So without further ado, let me go ahead and show you how to make these blessed dolls. The nice and accurate materials of doll customization. So doll customization is something that was new to me before I embarked on this ambitious project, and I quickly became aware of the fact that it is basically a whole bunch of moving parts and they all come together to form these customized dolls. So the rest of this video is going to be structured into 5 unique parts: repainting, rerooting, clothing, accessories, and then wings. As far as materials go, doll customization can kind of use any materials that you want because there are so many different parts, and depending on whatever clothing your character's wearing or their hair, or you know, all of these different factors are going to influence what kind of materials that you need. These dolls have so many different materials, and I could go through every single material that I used to make them, but I'm sorry, my dear, we just do not have the time for that, or at least I don't have the time for that, and I don't want to edit all of that. So you're going to have to just be satisfied with this list that I made. I'm going to put some links in the description below, down to a couple of YouTubers that do doll customization as like their main hobby. Check them out if you want to see like legit doll customization. This is just a fun video to express my love for the fandom. I'm just playing with fire here. So now that that is out of the way, we are just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the first step in doll customization, at least for me, was repainting. When you're trying to customize dolls to look like a specific character, it's great to think about the actor that plays that character, their physical characteristics, and basically anything regarding like face shape are key when trying to find dolls. So for Crowley, I settled on this Edward Cullen doll from Twilight because of the high cheekbones and the lean figure, which matched David Tennant's pretty nicely. And then for Aziraphale, I found this 80s Happy Family Ken doll that had a very nice smile to him that I thought just matched Michael Sheen's bubbly personality perfectly. As an added treat, when they came in the mail, both of them were just at the perfect heights, with the Aziraphale doll just being a tad bit shorter than the Edward. So I'm currently laughing because the doll that I'm customizing to make Crowley is an Edward from Twilight doll. So of course he came in this kind of like Twilight box with our nice goth boy on the back. And then the person who sent the Aziraphale doll, I kid you not, they wrapped him in this candy wrapping, which is just adorable and frilly and cute. And oh my god, look at this, a duck sticker. and then there's more. They also didn't choose like a regular orange packaging envelope. They chose this intricate lotus design, which I think is just so cute. But I just think it's really funny because, I mean, what else would you expect if you were going to customize a Crowley doll and an Aziraphale doll? Once you obtain your dolls, now we're going to be starting the repainting process. So what you want to do is get a hairdryer, and right now we're going to decapitate our dolls, or at least one of them. The Aziraphale doll was not actually able to be decapitated, and I sort of broke his neck a little bit because I realized that after the fact. But for the Edward doll and for most other dolls, you can take a hairdryer and just warm up the head area, which loosens up the rubber in the neck, and then you can pop the head off. And this is just going to make things easier, especially during the repainting process. Next, you are going to take a nail file or a nail buffer, and you're going to buff down the doll's bodies so that they're nice and smooth. After you do that, you can take non-acetone nail polish remover, and you can just wipe down the bodies. After you do that, take 100% acetone, remove the faces on our dolls. It should remove the factory makeup that they have on there quite naturally. After you have gotten rid of their faces and buffed and shined down their bodies, sounds kind of macabre, doesn't it? You can take a pair of sharp scissors and just cut the hair as short as possible to the scalp. Then you can get your hairdryer again and heat up the head once more, then get some pliers and reach inside of the head and start plucking out all of the little hair follicles. Now we are going to be painting the hairline on the scalp the same color of our customized doll hair, just so that the hairs blend in a little bit more. So for Crowley, I'm using a mixture of this burnt sienna and this cadmium red. So for the Aziraphale doll, he was a little bit too tan to be a pasty white British angel. So what I did for him is I just sprayed him with this chalky white spray paint. And of course, I painted his scalp the nice cream color as well to match his hair. Now there's this super versatile spray called Mr. Super Clear that the whole doll community treats as if it is the Bible. And so what it basically is a matte finish spray that is a UV protectant as well, and it just kind of sets everything. Because we're going to be coloring the faces and the bodies with powdered pigments, it's important that you set stuff so that you can continue to layer it on there and to protect your final design once you're finished. Speaking of the actual repaint, what we're going to be using primarily are soft pastels and some cheap makeup that I have, in addition to some watercolor pencils. Now, watercolor pencils are important to use and not regular pencils because watercolor pencils are very soft and they let you get all the little nitty-gritty details in there. And the next part is, it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's basic contouring and makeup. You just pull up a reference photo of whatever character you're trying to customize it. For Crowley, I was super careful to make sure to include his snake tattoo on his temple. And for the eyes, I added in highlights with some white paint, and then I also added in clear nail polish to give them a little bit of sheen. Sheen. I didn't even mean to make that pun. I also decided to add eyelashes. Now I know some people don't do this, and I know some people think they look weird on my dolls, but I like the use of the eyelashes, and I'm very satisfied with how they came out. I just got some of the hair that I used to reroot. I used the same technique that I used in my other video from earlier this year where I made paint brushes out of my own hair. So I was very, very excited about the hair that I found to reroot both Crowley and Aziraphale. For Crowley, I found this brilliant burnt kind of orange color, and the texture is just absolutely perfect for him. And then for Aziraphale, I just found the most gorgeous, silky, angelic, cream-colored hair that would just work perfectly for a beautiful angel. So I just bought some nylon hair. I got nylon because I wanted it to be able to be heat-shaped, which is very important for Aziraphale, as you will see. Basically, to reroot, you just get this little tool, which is an X-Acto handle with a needle poked on the end, and you cut it off at an angle so that you can slip all of your little thin pieces of rerooted hair through it, and then you just stab it through the head. And you do this until all of the holes are completely filled. For Aziraphale, it was a lot more time consuming. I had to hand curl every single curl using an embroidery needle and a straightener, and then after I curled it, then I would reroot it. Because I decided to repaint their faces first instead of rerooting, it made Aziraphale's face chip off because of the pressure. Next time, if I ever customize dolls again, I'm definitely going to reroot first and then do the repaint. The clothing is honestly my favorite part of this entire process, mainly because I love to sew and I like making little miniature things. First things that I did was I created patterns in my pattern book. Patterns for doll clothes are literally just miniatures of human clothes. So if you know how to make basic human clothes, you can make doll clothes just on a much smaller scale. So I'm not going to go into all of the details here, obviously. Because that would just take way too long, and I know you don't care that much. I don't care that much. If you actually have questions, I can let you know, of course, how I did things. But you just cut out the patterns and sew them together. For some of the things like his vest here, I included little findings such as tiny little buttons and things to make the clothes look more like human clothes. I'm going to be making Aziraphale's iconic coat, but you might also notice that the coat that I'm showing in the video is not the same coat that he is wearing in the final images, and that's because the coat that I'm making in the video I made with felt, and it came out looking way too bulky, and I didn't like it at all, so I got some other fabric that was more like a khaki fabric and remade the coat. And all of the same techniques and everything, I just didn't film at that time because I was feeling kind of frustrated, as you can imagine. So Crowley's clothes have a much darker color palette, so I used a lot of denim and things like crepe black satin because he is a flashy bastard. Now for the inside of Crowley's coat, I included a lining, of course, and I used this sparkly fabric that I had left over from when I made my prom dress junior year, and it's very glittery and glitzy, and I like this a lot because he helped create the stars, so I thought that this would be a nice homage to that canon. I also included the nice red scarf in the back of Crowley's jacket. now. The accessories are so much fun, especially the little sunglasses. But first we're going to start with Aziraphale's bow tie, which is very simple. It's just a square piece of tartan fabric, and then you just accordion fold it down and then get another longer strip of that and wrap it around the middle, and ta-da, you have a bow tie. I attached his bow tie with some Velcro that I sewed onto the collar of his shirt. To make Crowley's necktie, I basically just took this very silvery ribbon and braided it all together and then added a couple little beads on the end. Now for the shoes for Aziraphale, I'm starting with these black loafers that I had from some other Barbie doll, and I'm spray painting them with a copper spray paint. After that, I'm just gluing little bits and details on them, such as a suede cord. Next, for Crowley's shoes, these are quite involved. So what I use for Crowley's shoes is the white Ken shoes that he came with. And so to make them shaped more like boots, I'm getting some black polymer clay and I'm shaping little heels and points for it. After I glued those on, I took a strip of black fabric and wrapped it around the shoe and glued that on as well. Then I painted the whole thing black and I painted the sole of it red. Then I took some genuine snakeskin fabric, which you can buy on eBay by the way, and then I just covered up all the other black fabric and ta-da! To make Crowley's iconic sunglasses, now once again I did not come up with this method, and I will provide a link in the description below to the video that helped me out. Get some more of that black polymer clay, create tiny little lens frames with it, glue the little rings of clay onto a thick plastic, and I took a tiny piece of metal and I glued it to connect the two lenses together. Slide this little piece onto a tiny piece of metal. Now you're left with this frame that can move. Glue this to the frames. They wouldn't truly be an ethereal and occult being if they did not have wings. And so I did not create this method of making wings either. I will provide another link in the description below to the wonderful, wonderful person who showed me how to make these wings. But I'm going to be showing you how I made these for Aziraphale and Crowley specifically. Grab some feathers, and so for Aziraphale I chose these nice white fluffy feathers for his angel wings, and for Crowley I chose these nice dark black feathers for his demon wings. Next, what you're going to do is just draft out a pattern of a wing. Then you're going to take some ductile wire, which is the same kind of wire that I used in my Harvest Moon Goddess cosplay, and you're going to create a vague wing shape. You can glue some fabric all around the wing. You're going to basically make a sandwich of fabric, your wire frame, and then some more fabric. So to attach the two wings together, I'm just using some nylon thread and sewing them together. After you do that, I'm going to take some more of that wire and fold it into this kind of U shape. You can then glue this onto the back of your wings. This is going to help us attach them to our dolls later on. The feathers are not the right shape and they're too big for dolls of this size, so I'm going to hand trim every single feather so that it is smaller and it has a nice point to it. And then basically you just go down and you glue every single feather on your wing. And yes, this takes hours, as did the rest of this doll project. Now to attach these wings to our dolls, I'm using Velcro. So I'm gluing the Velcro on that U shape that we made with the wire that we glued on the back of the wings. And then the other part of the Velcro is going to get glued to the back of the dolls' bodies. In order to get the wings to be Velcroed onto the dolls' bodies, we have to cut a hole in the back of the clothes. And finally, with the completion of our wings, I can now safely say that the end times are most definitely upon us. video, I hope at the very least it has inspired you and encouraged you to go watch Good Omens if you haven't for some godforsaken reason done so yet. I'm so grateful to be living in a very much present and alive world where the apocalypse hasn't quite happened yet, in a timeline where I get to experience Good Omens in its prime. No pun intended. My gratitude towards everyone involved in making Good Omens is truly ineffable, particularly to Mr. Pratchett and Mr. Gaiman for sharing their indelible characters and stories with us so generously. The world is a much better place when we share our passions and our ideas with each other and appreciate others appreciating our work back at us too. As TV evolves, I sincerely hope that future shows and fandoms can be as welcoming as the the whole religious group petitioning Netflix because Adam and Eve were black and God was a woman thing. And as inspiring as Good Omens has been this summer. If you'd like to see what other crazy crafts I get into as a result of my current hyperfixations, please feel free to subscribe down below. I'm always thinking about my next crafting project, and I would absolutely adore it if you'd want to join me on our artistic journey so that we may geek out together about our mutual passions and creativity. Until then, I'll see you with a new video soon! To the world, my dears.